I have to take this visit or welcome the visit because, as you know, the theme of our election manifesto, which has become a contract between the government and the people of Namibia, is unity in diversity, natural resources beneficiation, and youth empowerment for sustainable development. And roasting uranium is one operation that is taking care of our natural resources. So I really felt that having given an opportunity at this early stage, I must take that as a welcome to understand how our natural resources are being exploited and how they are benefiting our community. So, therefore, I really appreciate your invitation. And the mining industry, which dominates our economy, has to make a big contribution to this job creation. I know that the sector does contribute greatly to our fiscus. And I am convinced that with the full potential of our mining sector, a lot can be done from this sector. And it's for this reason why, when we worked on our Swap Manifesto implementation plan, the mining sector has been identified as #1 critical economic enabler out of the 8 priority areas in the implementation plan. And that's why I have to meet the industry so that we really discuss in details as how this sector can contribute to poverty eradication in our country. When I said with our resources and our population, we are just too few to be poor. And it is so difficult when you see Namibia to appear as we should be begging. We should be the one to be begged. I know it will not be something to be done at a go, but really we have to start. So I commend the roasting uranium management for your management style and resilience during the 10 down years of the mine, that you have now worked hard and extend the life of the mine to 2036. And what I have learned today as the President of the Republic of Namibia, speaking on behalf of these people of this country, I'm more assured that we still have a long way to benefit from our natural resources. So we just need really to adopt the right attitude towards one another in order to make sure that our resources benefit ourselves as well as our friends who come to Namibia as investors. I know one of the most important factors is that the mining industry needs to look after their workers, particularly that some of the activities have serious health risk. And I was so impressed to hear the safety measures that you are having at roasting uranium. Of course, accidents are accidents, and they cannot be ruled out. I would really ask the mining industry to put in place some measures whereby should an accident occur, maybe one way or the other, your worker has been exposed, particularly to radiation that might have permanent impact on individual. Let that person not be writing out of the support by the mining sector, but to be given permanent support because the person suffered while on duty. I'm really asking, is one of the areas I have to discuss with the mining industry, so that I do not want to see a person affected on the job and then just given whatever and be sent home to languish in poverty in their villages, but to be permanently taken care of by the mine or by the industry. We really have to be taking care of ourselves. I say we are too few to be poor, whether we are working or whether we are in our pension age. Again, our mining sector is one sector I was really impressed when briefing us, and then you say you are paying your workers well. The mining sector in Namibia should give its worker a living wage, accommodation, and to look after them while in the service and after they finish their service. That is very, very important. The capacity building is another area that I would really want the mining industry to focus on by providing scholarships, job attachment, training, internship, and to identify young entrepreneurs within your operations and then empower them to branch off to other sectors of our economy where they can produce or create additional jobs. I know the mining industry is capital intensive, and as much as people applaud Namibia because of our mining, yes, we can experience economic growth, but economic growth without development does not really make an impact in the ordinary life of a citizen. Because of uranium, we can be seen as dominating the world market, or we can say the trade between Namibia and a certain country is high simply because of the cost of uranium. But not everything that is exported or as a result of export comes back into the Namibian economy. I have seen the figures here. They are good enough, but still I feel that really we need to do more. For example, if somebody is working at you roasting uranium or any other mine, and that person is an entrepreneur and wants to branch off into any other sector, let's say for argument's sake, in the food production, why the industry or that particular enterprise cannot assist such a person with a certain level of capital, because you know when that person becomes successful, other people will be employed. And that can be accredited to your company, having the one who has empowered that individual. So therefore, I'm really grateful as to what is happening here. The Rosing Foundation is a foundation that has been in existence, as indicated there, since the operation of the mine. And Rosing Foundation, from history, has done a commendable job in Arandes. I have still to visit Arandes because the information coming from Arandes is very impressive for me. And I don't know whether it's a Rosing mine that has contributed. As I understand, in Arandes is the only town in Namibia that does not have shacks. So you have citizens who are properly accommodated. And really, I will make a deep study on Arandes, how that has happened, because I want to see it in every town of Namibia. I would really don't want to see 10, 20 years down the line, we are still having a number of Namibians who do not have proper accommodation in a country with such resources. And this is only possible if all of us are taking part. Arandes was also a town where the citizens were very much empowered. Empowered in the sense that they were able to have their own businesses, for example, fabric, tailoring, and many others. And this was the empowerment that has come from the foundation. And therefore, in addition to the commendable job which the foundation is doing, as elaborated today, I would really want the foundation to build the entrepreneurs, focus on entrepreneurs who will really be contributing to the growth of our economy and to create jobs. If I can, I might even moving forward to have a competition between the private sectors that every year they might inform the office of the president as to how many extra jobs have been created as a result of their support, not just within their own main operation, but across the country. Because really job creation has to become a priority of all of us. Once a person is employed, is having a job, they will be able to decide as to whether they want to eat brown bread or white bread. Today, because they depend on government's food ration, it's the government that decides that we can only buy you maize meal, fish and cooking oil, and that becomes their diet. But with the employment, they can decide as to what to do. And that's why I'm asking the mining industry to work with us or to work with us in improving on the living standard of our people. Once again, I express my gratitude to the roasting uranium for the work that you are doing and for the foundation that continue to operate. I'm happy that you have invested in agriculture, in education, in health, and community upliftment. And once again, I would really appreciate that through your program, let us be transformative, that will really have a permanent and long-lasting impact in the lives of our people.
Before we can understand the movement, we must know the man. Namibia's new president comes with a reputation for grassroots leadership, anti-corruption, and a long history of advocating for Pan-African unity. His rise to power was no accident. It was a direct response to decades of frustration among Namibians, many of whom have watched their country's uranium, diamonds, and other resources benefit foreign powers far more than the citizens themselves. Born in a small rural community, he climbed his way into politics not through wealth, but through service, organizing in mining towns, listening to the concerns of everyday workers, and building coalitions across Namibia's diverse regions. He represents something rare in politics: authenticity. And now, he has the power to act on what he has long preached. His presidency is grounded in a singular mission: to return sovereignty to Namibia, not just in policy, but in practice. And taking control of the country's natural wealth was his first act in this mission. Namibia is rich, not just in culture or landscapes, but in uranium, diamonds, copper, and rare earth elements that power much of the modern world. Yet for decades, foreign corporations, often backed by Western governments, have controlled the mining rights and exported billions in profits overseas. In his first few weeks in office, Namibia's president signed an executive order revoking foreign mineral contracts. All natural resources were to be nationalized, with a new state-owned entity created to manage mining, exports, and reinvestment. This wasn't just political theater. It was backed by legislation, public referendums, and a new vision for economic sovereignty. Critics, mostly abroad, called it reckless. But within Namibia, it was met with celebration. Finally, communities near the mines could dream of roads, hospitals, and schools funded by the land they lived on. For the first time, Namibians would see their natural wealth translate into real, visible change. While Namibia was asserting itself economically, a similar energy was growing in Burkina Faso, where Captain Ibrahim Triore had become a symbol of anti-imperialist resistance. A young, bold, and ideologically firm leader, Triore rejected foreign military bases, reclaimed mining rights, and openly challenged neo-colonial structures. The two leaders connected on a simple, yet powerful idea. Africa doesn't need saviors. It needs allies within. They began private conversations about resource sharing, defense strategies, and most notably, energy independence. And out of these talks came the vision for a joint nuclear energy program. This wasn't just about electricity. It was about strategic power. Nuclear technology is a symbol of sovereignty and self-reliance. And together, Namibia and Burkina Faso would make history as the first African nations to co-invest in such a project. The proposed site for Africa's first nuclear plant will lie along a secure zone within Namibia, close to uranium deposits and near key infrastructure routes. Technical advisors from neutral nations, including Brazil and India, have already pledged support, steering away from traditional Western influence. Unlike previous African energy projects, this plant won't be a charity case or a debt trap. It will be fully financed through mineral revenues from both countries and operated by a newly created Pan-African Energy Commission, jointly owned and governed by Namibia and Burkina Faso. The plant is expected to generate clean energy for both countries, reducing dependency on fossil fuels and foreign energy grids. Even more importantly, it sends a clear message to the world. Africa will no longer be boxed into narratives of need and dependence. The global reaction was swift. Western media framed the move as radical, dangerous, and nationalist. Investment firms pulled out. Diplomatic statements were released. Sanctions were whispered. But on the ground, the support only grew stronger. Many African nations began to openly praise the alliance. Leaders in Mali, Guinea, and even Tanzania expressed interest in joining future phases of the nuclear energy initiative. The African Union, for the first time in years, found a moment of unity around an unapologetically sovereign African project. Outside Africa, the political earthquake was being felt, and some powers were scrambling to adjust. This alliance is more than a headline. It's a blueprint, a model for Pan-African collaboration, not based on colonial borders, but on shared destiny. If Namibia and Burkina Faso succeed, they will prove that African nations can harness their own wealth, control advanced technologies, and forge alliances based on equality, not exploitation. It could spark a new era of continental projects, railways built without IMF loans, education platforms powered by African knowledge, and currency systems independent of foreign central banks. The nuclear plant is only the beginning, a symbol of what's possible when African nations trust each other more than they trust outsiders. And that's what makes this moment historic. Africa has always been great, but for too long, its greatness has been hidden, suppressed, or exported. What Namibia's president and Ibrahim Triore are doing is not just resisting, they are reclaiming. Reclaiming land, reclaiming resources, reclaiming power. Their actions may be controversial, but to millions across the continent, they represent hope, the kind that generations have waited for. So the question is no longer, will Africa rise? The question is, who will rise with her?